Good Monday morning, y'all. Listen, I know you come here for news and analysis now and again, but since Vogue has decided to take a break from any serious journalism, I think we will too, and instead analyze Vogue's article that they've published willingly, gleefully actually, about Gavin Newsom, the leading candidate for the Democrats to be the nominee for president, the governor of California. They ventured into political journalism over there at Vogue, sort of. There's the headline: Gavin Newsom is setting his own rules. Look at the picture. We'll get to the photographs coming up in a bit because it's Annie Leibovitz, don't you know? But the opening sentence here. Let's get this out of the way. He is embarrassingly handsome. His hair seasoned with silver, at ease with his own eminence as he delivers his final State of the State address. That's the lead. That's the first sentence in this article about a man trying to be president of the United States. And, well, it's not like they've got anything else to focus on with Gavin Newsom. Things like, what's the word I'm looking for? His record. This is not a political article. This is 50 Shades of Gavin. Vogue has decided to publish a romance novel about Gavin Newsom. This is what happened when fashion media confuses political reporting with soft-focused thirst posting. A democracy doesn't die in darkness when this happens. A democracy gets mood lighting and a hair flip. There are many ways one can think to profile a sitting governor. One can interrogate policy outcomes or leadership failures, political ambition, governing philosophy. Vogue chose erotically charged fan fiction. This profile of Gavin Newsom reads less like journalism and more like a rejected chapter from 50 Shades of Gel. What follows is a line-by-line public service announcement explaining why. Let's start with, let's get this out of the way. He is embarrassingly handsome. Yeah, the opening sentence. Not Gavin Newsom is positioning himself for a national run. Not California faces historic challenges under his leadership. No. Vogue opens with horny throat clearing. Let's get this out of the way. Let's get this out of the way is not how journalists begin facts. It's how someone begins a confession they've been trying to suppress since brunch. His hair seasoned with silver. Oh, yes, the silver. The seasoning. We're now firmly in romance novel territory. I expect Fabio to be on the cover of the paperback edition. Physical description substitutes for substance, and hair color does all the heavy lifting policy refuses to do. At this point, readers of Vogue are still unclear what Newsom has done, but they know exactly how he looks under studio lighting. Lithe, ardent, energetic, Kennedy-esque. Yes, all of these are ways they described the governor of California. Kennedy-esque is the political equivalent of saying a car is Ferrari adjacent. It signals aspiration, not reality. It's wishful thinking in place of journalism. And it conveniently skips out the parts where the Kennedy comparison sort of collapses under scrutiny, because Kennedy was actually, in favor of lowering taxes and juicing up a robust economy, and he was against open borders. And, well, is Gavin Newsom about to leap across a vineyard wall and whisper sweet nothings about zoning reform with the word lithe? Who describes a politician with the word lithe? Oh, and then there was this from the writer. By the way, we should name this person. Her name, the journalist, is Maya Singer. And I'm sure mom and dad are really proud of all the money they spent on her journalism career. Maya Singer actually wrote this sentence in this article. You ready? I was having a hard time taking in the man, his actual molecular reality, immaculate. All right, this is the moment journalism has officially left the building. Molecular reality is not a phrase used by reporters. Molecular reality is not a phrase used by human beings. It's a phrase used by people who are experiencing feelings and should maybe step back from the keyboard. Oh, your molecular reality. At no point should a political profile sound like the author needs a glass of water and a moment alone, or maybe a cigarette. And then the lighting. Oh, there's references to lighting in this article. Dear God, the lighting. This article repeatedly references glow, aura, atmosphere, California's sunlight, as though Gavin Newsom is less a governor and more a solar event. Lighting is discussed more seriously than crime, homelessness, or the cost of living. California may be on fire, but don't worry, the vibes are immaculate, and oh, it looks so beautiful on film. Policy, briefly, don't blink now, somewhere between the hair descriptions and cinematic metaphors, there are passing references to governance here and there. These are treated like unpleasant vegetables on an otherwise delicious plate of admiration. No sustained challenge, no confrontation, no accountability, no facts. Just reverent nodding and lyrical prose. It's the journalistic equivalent of, tell me more. Can I refresh your wine? Journalism or campaign collateral? That's the question. By the end of this article, the reader is left with a clear understanding of three things. Gavin Newsom photographs well. The author finds him deeply compelling. And Vogue has no earthly interest in interrogating power. This isn't a profile. It's a mood board for a future campaign, styled by people who believe charisma is governance. If Vogue wanted to write a love letter, well, they succeeded. If they wanted to inform readers about a powerful political figure with national ambitions, they failed gloriously, erotically, and without shame. It's not journalism. It was a crush with a word count. Some of the quotes, he's embarrassingly handsome, lithe, ardent, energetic, Kennedy-esque, his actual molecular reality immaculate. If a conservative outlet wrote this way about a Republican governor, the media would be screaming cult of personality before the second paragraph. But because it's Vogue, because it's Newsom, because the swooning flows in the approved direction, it's treated as sophistication. But it's not. Oh, and the Annie Leibovitz photo spread. It's John Kennedy meets Zoolander, okay? Take a look at these pictures. There's this one. I mean, I do love, look at the finger on the, who sits like that? And I appreciate that the backdrop is a burnt out California forest that suffered from a forest fire under his watch and never got put out. They should have had him photographed in front of all the burnt out homes in the Pacific Palisades. But wait, there's more here. Oh, they dipped into the old war chest here of pictures of him striding the streets of San Francisco before his hair was seasoned with silver. Rolling up his sleeves, don't you know? Just as San Francisco was littered with piles of human feces on the sidewalks because of his policy toward allowing criminal vagrancy. But wait, there's more of these photographs. Look at the family. Look, I mean, again, lovely children, great, but we see what you're doing, Annie Leibovitz. It's obvious. Hold on, I think look at this one. Is this the photograph they're going to use to make the lithograph of when we put him on the $3 bill? Sure, why not? It's obvious what's happening here. If the press wasn't doing enough damage on its own, Vogue brought in Annie Leibovitz to deliver a full photo spread presenting Gavin Newsom as something less than a governor and more than a man. The final product lands somewhere between Camelot mythology and a very serious Blue Steel audition. Look at that face. Look at the eyes. Look at the pursed lips. These aren't political or documentary photographs. They're carefully staged campaign-adjacent glamour shots designed to elevate Newsom beyond the realm of politics and into pure aesthetic symbolism. He's photographed as a mood, not a public servant, a brand, not an administrator. The Kennedy influence here, or what they're trying to achieve here, is unmistakable. Look at the distant gaze, the contemplative posture, the chin lifted just enough to suggest destiny without ever having to explain results. Layered on top of that, well, Zoolander energy, the smolder, the effortless confidence, the suggestion that leadership simply occurs naturally when one is sufficiently photogenic under California sunlight. At no point does Newsom appear weighed down by crime statistics, housing costs, population flight. In this version of California, problems don't exist. They dissolve into golden hour haze. Homelessness becomes texture. Wildfires are implied but never acknowledged. Accountability is nowhere in the frame. Every image communicates the same message. This is what power is supposed to look like. Smooth, untroubled, untouched by consequence. The photos don't invite scrutiny, they demand admiration. The visuals pair perfectly with the article's tone. Together, they form a complete aesthetic argument. Don't question him. Don't measure outcomes. Don't ask what worked or failed. Simply observe how the light hits his hair, how the suit hangs, how naturally presidential the whole thing feels. If a conservative governor were presented this way, the press would be screaming about propaganda and politics. Here, it's treated as sophistication, as taste, as fashion. That contrast tells you more about this profile than any paragraph ever could. Vogue should be ashamed of itself, but they aren't because they have no shame. Gavin Newsom is, well, he's exactly who we know him to be. Governor Hairgel, one day closer to his eventual nomination as the Democrat candidate for president. And, well, buckle up. It's going to be a hell of a 3 years.